look at the 3 p.m. move. It's happening on the upside. The market's just taken a bit of an upside in the last few minutes. The Nifty is 15,682 now, and the Bank Nifty as well is inching up. Lever is the stock which is doing well right now. Tata Motors and a couple of others like SBI also doing well. Rakshit, one of your most loved stocks at Marcellus has been Nestle. What did you make of this recent controversy? 60% of the food not being healthy and all. I mean, how much do you think it can impact the stock, or do you think it's just going to move on?
I mean, I don't know how much it can impact the sentiment, and sentiment impacts are short term. Don't really matter much if you're a long term investor. But to fundamentals, we don't think it can impact, because the information that we've received on this issue so far, which is the same as what everyone else has perhaps, is that the product portfolio under question here is not something that is sold in India. What is sold in India is sort of baby milk products and Maggi. Those are the two broad product categories that drive 80-90% of Nestle's profits. And for those two categories, I mean, I don't see this event having any meaningful impact. So yeah, we are not worried at the moment.
Okay. Let me ask you about the real estate side of the market. Since you have interest in stocks like Asian Paints and even a Pidilite, and they're a quasi play on housing, are you optimistic over there, Rakshit? And would you not consider looking at real estate directly, considering there's so much excitement and now there's this Model Tenancy Act is also there?
So in general, for real estate, yes, we believe. I mean, the number of people per household is declining. That's a factor which adds to the number of households. Urbanization, affordability rising will lead to upgrades to the living standards, which includes real estate for residential. And as the economy expands after the pandemic, it might keep expanding in smaller cities more than it used to before the pandemic. And that might lead to some more commercial real estate demand as well in the smaller cities. Now, that's at a real estate as an industry level view. But when it comes to buying companies, buying stocks based on this theme, first and foremost, we don't see a reason to believe in any real estate player from a very long-term perspective, where we don't yet see somebody who can assure us that no matter whether real estate as a macro is going through a down cycle, no matter what the economy is going through, the stock will continue to do well based on fundamentals. We don't see that sort of a resilience, robustness in fundamentals in the real estate industry, and hence we don't have exposure there. When it comes to Asian Paints, Pidilite, etc., the thing that we like more about that part of sort of home building materials, not so much real estate, I would say, is 80-85% of demand for these companies is repainting, refurbishing, right? So whether it be the carpenter project for Pidilite or repainting of the walls for Asian Paints, it's that repainting demand which provides resilience to the underlying category. And then on top of it, these companies have built a fortified franchise that cannot be attacked easily by competition and cannot be shaken easily by disruptions. Right, so that's the reason why we buy it. Real estate, unfortunately, even though it contributes to 10-15% of Asian Paints and Pidilite demand, is not the most resilient part of their fundamentals, which gives us comfort. It's more the repainting and the refurbishing which gives us comfort.
Mm-hmm. Okay, fair enough. Now, the other stock that I want to discuss is Dr. Lal, Rakshit, because it's been a phenomenal company, of course, and in this pandemic, it clearly showed the leadership stuff that it's made of. But going forward, do you think there's a risk in this space of more and more new players emerging and hence perhaps impacting the margins?
Yeah, so there are two parts to it. One is a massive opportunity, and then the other is the risk that you're talking about. Currently, we are excited about the opportunity because we believe there is a possibility that Dr. Lal will address the risk as well. So the opportunity here again is a massive unorganized to organized shift, right? 85% of diagnostic pathology demand in India is unorganized, right? And by unorganized, I mean they might be private players, but they are standalone labs or a set of only 2 or 3 labs in a very small micro market. Only 15% is organized pan-India chains. Pan-India chains offer a massive value add, because of which eventually they will grow in size to a much larger proportion. And Dr. Lal leads it from the front with competitive advantages that are unmatched when we look at other diagnostic players. Hence, that's the massive opportunity out there. So even though they are currently limited to only North and East India in their presence, that itself is good enough to drive a certain degree of growth with a great longevity. The risk is one from a technology front. So there could be a disruption in the way execution of home collection, execution of expansion of footprint for a retailer like Dr. Lal happens at a ground level. And you can call it Olafication, Uberification, whatever. I mean, that's sort of a tech disruption. It could be tech disruption at a medical device level. It could be new private equity money chasing some of the regional chains, trying to make them larger and larger, and hence more competition coming in. So yes, those are the risks, and especially when Dr. Lal tries to expand into West and South, and they've started articulating their plans on those fronts. They will face such challenges, because these are not territories where they've had a strong hold on either the consumption part or the footprint part. So those are areas where, if they address, currently we believe they have certain steps recently taken over the last 12 months, especially around becoming a little more digital DNA, becoming a little more tech invested organization. And that might help them overcome these risks. If they overcome the risk, it's actually an upside to our current view on Dr. Lal. It's not that we are hoping that the risks get addressed and that's why we're buying into it. It's actually an upside, and so yeah, we're watching the space closely and remain convinced at the moment about the growth compounding here.
Okay, all right, Rakshit, got that. Thank you very much for joining in. Good chatting with you as always and getting your thesis on all the different parts of the market that we've discussed today. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
By the way, look at this market. It is red hot, and how? Thank you very much. 114 up on the Nifty. We are practically at the highs of the day, and some stocks showing interesting moves. Maybe it's the usual Thursday phenomena. Look at Lever, it's spiking higher. Bharti Airtel is seeing a sharp uptick as well. And Anuj, I was looking at the European screens. Again, we are rank outperformers today with this kind of momentum. I mean, look at this Nifty, 15,700 practically. Now what?
Yeah, so I think this market is sensing perhaps some kind of a package. Tomorrow there's policy as well, so the market just wants to build expectations. The profile of stocks, Eicher Motors, Larsen and Toubro, so many domestic focused stocks doing well, the cement stocks, the two-wheelers. I think that's what the market seems to be doing. I don't know if you heard me in the morning. I was making this point that the market's making people who have missed out miserable. A lot of people thought that, okay, the Nifty will stop at 15,400, 15,500. And for a moment it did, but that was only a mirage, because the mid-caps kept doing well. And once the Nifty hit new high, there was no looking back. 15,700, I think the countdown to 16,000 should be well and truly has started. And the bank Nifty, I think, still has that unfinished business at all-time high. Who knows, perhaps in June series you could get there. And when that happens, then 16,000 is also a matter of formality on the Nifty.
Well, the market seems to be in a mood to race towards that mark, looking at the sort of momentum that's building in as we speak. Let's take a quick break on that note. We'll come back, have more ground to cover. Tomorrow's important earnings include Bharat Forge, so we will get you a heads up on that. And then, given this huge, strong day, let's find out what the buzz is in dealing rooms. Nimesh will join in with D Street Chatter and, of course, trading calls for the last half hour.